Obviously, we don't have time to make everything and you wait for the baking and finalizing, but I'm going to show, and it, you know, it's like in the cooking shows. You have the first thing, oops, and it's already cooked, oops, it's already decorated. So that's what we are going to do here. So let's get started. The first thing what I have done is that I'm using Imperia, so you have to switch into your own pasta machine, Atlas or whatever, or Fimo or whatever you have. But basically I took a piece of white clay. It can be Ternit, Premo, Fimo, whichever you wish. And you put on the middle setting. That's for me the number 4. And then you take the black, which is a very thin setting. So it's almost the thinnest. So I took the number 2, which is 1 bigger from the thinnest setting. Then what I did, because I said, I don't want to waste my time to do the back part, front part. No, I will do everything at once. I took the white, I took the black, I put it together. I took a texture, something, and I put behind the black. And then you go through the pasta machine. Again, the middle setting. Do you see me actually? Sorry, because in the meantime, I'm reading comments. Do you see properly and big the screen? Yes, okay. Because here we have somebody, see the others are seeing it. You on the small box which you see, you have to really click on that one and or put there in your view, put there that you want to see the speaker. Because everybody, as far as I see, they are, yeah, the speaker view. You go there at the view and you put the speaker and then you see the big screen. So you take like this, you go through the pasta machine and then in the mid setting, and the result will be, as I said, this is the cooking show. Voila, you have a nice textured something which you cut, and you can have a round cutter, you can have a square cutter, whichever. So you see already the texture of the back part is already there. You don't have to already deal about this one. Of course, like in this case, I decided that I wanted to have a kind of this goldish or greenish or metallic color. So I didn't make the back part. It was a white clay. I baked it, I colored it, I did all the things. And at the end, I put the metallic color. So you can do this way, and then you have a different look. But as I said, it's not a rule. This necklace, for example, you can see that in this case, I put a green color and not a black color. So it's you know, as you wish. So you decide what type of clay you want to put there. So once you have this here and ready, then let's do so that we can also show how to make the circle inside, how to color it. You take a cutter and you just take it out, and don't, when you cut it out, this part, I need to see from above. When you cut it out, you just keep it, because what you can do is like here, you can make this little thing in the middle. So everything can be reused. You don't have to get rid of anything. Here you can see, or you can do like this here. So you just keep it. And then you have different things that you can use for this coloring. What I prefer to use as a basis, but of course it's not always available for all of you, is to use pan pastel. As I said in the morning, the disease of pan pastel is that you have to have all the colors, and you must have all the sets, the orange, all the 3 oranges they have, all the 5 browns they have, and it's still not enough. So you can see, and I'm trying because I can see that, yeah, okay. Trying that it's visible, good. And you can decide what color you want. I personally always think that this greenish, bluish, purplish, these are, I don't know, I feel that they are really the colors for this technique, but you can decide. And I had today, we were talking here with one lady who is making ceramics. I will get back to the pastel also. I see the message from Jane. That she's doing ceramics, and she also tends to have everything brownish, bluish and all those things. Here I can show you some others to see. You see that here I was more with the green, with the brown. So really this gives you this feeling. So what we do is very simple. Either you use your fingers, or if you think that I will not mess up myself, you can use this cosmetic sponge, which I showed you in the list of the materials, or this one, or for the pan pastel, you can have this tool, which you can do. I will make myself dirty pig, so I will use my hands and that's it. Normally I wouldn't, but I just to go ahead with it. So what you do, always you start with the lighter colors, obviously. And basically you take, and it's good if it's sticked here so that it's not moving. And you start coloring, very easy. I guess this is not the first time. And I saw the question and I will come back to this other pastel because I was asked that can you use the soft pastel? Yes, you can. And I will come back to that one. And then you start mixing the colors. I will make a kind of like greenish, orangish. I will put a bit of magenta. So it's really the colors, you cannot really miss here anything. And you see that already the colors are coming up. So it's kind of like nice. And at certain point you might say, okay, I like this one, but maybe I will put a bit of more green. I will put a little bit of more brown. So it's really experimenting. And as Pavla said before, in some techniques, simply there are no rules. You go ahead and you try it. So it's like, it will always be a different result. So you go around, and when you say that I think I'm pretty happy with this one, of course we will go and I will show an almost ready version, then you want somehow to emphasize this middle part, but also this outside part. And you have two options. Either you decide that you will use a pan pastel, black or brown, so it's up to you. Or if you say that I want to use something that is already in this color or close to it, and this time I can show the brown, so I can do it, but I can say that I will use red for a change because this will really enhance the other colors. Advantage of pan pastel is that it's no matter how you mix. So you were in the yellow, you were in the green, you go in the red, you can go on. So this is the advantage of this one. If you decide that you still want to clean your hand, be aware that you can wash it with like baby wipes, and then make sure that you have dry fingers, because the moment you have wet fingers, you destroy your pan pastel. I can guarantee you. I had in Oradea a course, somebody forgot to dry the fingers, so I have problems with that pan pastel. So as you see, you see already, it's already showing because you put a little bit on your finger, the color. And as you start from inside, obviously inside is more color. And the more you go a bit toward outside, the color starts to be lightened. But in order to avoid that you have there inside the white part, for this one, I suggest to use this cosmetic sponge, let's call it like that. I'm not specialist in the names, and just color it. And don't worry, it will stay there, the color, because by pushing the color into it, it's already fixed there. Go around, and basically you make sure that you have very well covered. And you don't have to be afraid that you distort or destroy it, because it's pretty much strong, because you made it on the middle setting. So it's not going to happen anything. And actually, I think it's even nicer if it's not a fixed round, but it's a bit distorted. I will show you what I mean. Then you go also to the edges, and the same thing as you did, you just color it. So now this is the part where I jump. So we arrived to this part, whereas you can see that I kept going around, and also inside. But the difference was that at the end, I said, I still want a bit to have, and you can see that here it's a bit darker, because I decided to put a little bit of magenta and to put a little bit of brown. So by this making, like it has been burned a little bit. So this like ceramic effect, like suddenly you have the feeling you put it in the oven, you took it and it got burned. What I showed today to the girls and what you can make also, I will show what we did this morning. It's, I made it with brown. And I think with brown is also quite nice. And it also gives the effect, because first I started with a more of a bluish, greenish, then a bit of yellowish, and then brown. And then I just go around really at the edges, and then slowly I go inside. And as you go inside, you get less and less chalk on your hand. And therefore you will have there the shadow, the effect of a shadow. Then at the end, you have also the choice, and this is what I showed also in the morning, that if you still you are not fine with the edges, and I will try to show now still with this one, I will take it back. Just give me a second to fastly finish the edges, because I want to show you something. So you say that, okay, I still don't have the impression that it's really kind of a burnt. Then you can use, and I put it in your list, to use a stamp. And then you can say, what stamp? What do you want me to do with the stamp? So this is the stamp. It basically has to be this archival ink. It can be any color, but of course using black, you have the advantage that it really looks the effect like it's really burned, and you just dab it and you can see already. And just here, there, you don't have to put everywhere, because then you could use black chalk also. And as you are doing, I don't know how much you see, but there are little black dots on it. So suddenly it looks like you made kind of, I don't know, like on purpose you did it. And of course I did it on purpose. Everything we do on purpose in polymer clay. And you can dab also on the surface, but carefully, so that you just have here, there. And I would say, okay, I'm fine with this one. I think that it looks good. With the inside part, of course, you could do that. You put on your finger a bit of the ink and then you do also there, but there I wouldn't bother too much. And what you can do at this moment, and now it comes the answer to the question I had, because you say, okay, this looks pretty okay, but still, how do I do that? It really has this messy, dots there, these little things there. How do I do it? And this is what we did this morning. You can see. So what you do, Ildikó?
Igen.
Ott van a liána?
Nincs.
Jó, okay. I will show you. What you can do is you take the soft pastels, and of course this is another thing, you necessarily need to have the biggest package with all the colors. So you know, this is you need to have it. You cannot live without this one. So what you do in this sense, that you try to find a color that is actually contradicting the color you have here. So here we have pretty light colors. We used yellowish and light color. So the contrast to have it, I would say that I will use something blue. I will use purple. And for those who don't have a pan pastel, it's the same thing. You put on your finger the color and you will be coloring this one. Or what you can do, that you take your knife, you put here the powder, you take the powder, and with the powder you are coloring. So if you don't have a pan pastel, this is also okay. I'm just showing now, I will mess up a little bit, but here is the one which I shredded, and you can just go around and put the color. So either way, if you don't have, don't worry, you don't have to be upset that you don't have pan pastel. So I would take these two colors, and maybe I will take a red color. Where is it here? Maybe this is the red color. And what you can do is you take the knife and you start shredding there these things. And it looks like you would have actually take some colors or some paint and make a spritz on it. But in order to avoid that this will go everywhere and it will not stay on it, this is the secret of everything. You take the baking paper And really don't feel sorry, just nicely push it nicely there, the color. And then when you remove, you will have it actually the excess on the paper. And you see it's nicely staying there, the colors. I see, Judy, a big smile, so it helps a lot. Thank you. Then you take, again, as I said, contrast colors. So you want to really see the difference, the background. Then you will take the blue and you can do the same thing. Go around and it's getting nice and messy. And I think this is the whole thing we want to achieve. And again, you take the paper, you don't forget. Again, you push it there nicely. And with this, you are guaranteed that there is no way to remove these dots. You see? You like it? Good.
Yes.
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 And you can go on and do as much as you wish, but then you might say that, yeah, but I still miss something. I really want this feeling to have there's something missing. And this is what we did this morning, that we used acrylic paint. So you can say that I will take a piece of sponge, if I find it. Yes, it's here. This is the one I was using. And that one, I think, actually, if you have fish, I don't have a fish, but if you happen to have a fish, this is for cleaning the aquarium. So this is the sponge from there. So it's, or for the washing the dishes, it's the same. And then, because this morning we used the blue, now I will use, let's say maybe green. Let's use the green. You take the acrylic, you shake it well, and make sure that you have prepared a bowl of water, because once you use the sponge, you make it dirty, you can just put it in the water, wash it and reuse it. And as I said this morning, I think this sponge, I have it for the last, I don't know, 3-4 years, and it's still perfect, in a perfect shape. Pavla, this is the thing what I told you. I already have only 10 centimeters on my table. Today we were discussing with Pavla how we can manage in 2 minutes that our table is full and you don't have space. If you would take like this and you would start, you would make a big mess. Therefore, the first thing you do is to take a piece of paper, so to get rid of the excess of the color. And basically you dab it here, so all the unnecessary colors are staying there. And then just a little bit that is there, then you start putting here, there. Otherwise, you will end up having all over a big mess, and that's what you don't want. So I don't know how much you see it, but there are those green dots, if it's visible. Of course, you can say, I like this one, but I still want to have another color. Then what you are suggested to do is just hold on a little bit, wait, in 2 seconds, it will be dry. Until then, just you wash the sponge. I will even put now in the water. And then come back and then use the next color. So it's really here, the variety, the options, it's like unlimited. Today, when we did the course, so that's why it's good that those who were not in the morning, now they are getting actually extra things in the afternoon, because some people were asking, what about embossing powder? So I have challenged myself and I tried it. Still, my conclusion, I immediately go to the conclusion without showing yet anything, is that if you want to have those black dots, then my suggestion is to simply use the black chalk. And with this one, beautifully, you go around, again, you massage it and perfectly it's there. Or you take black acrylic paint, dub, 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 and you are done. And you don't have to deal with it. But I tried it, I will be very honest. So first thing I did, I mixed the embossing powder in white. So you can see it's here. But then you can see this is the embossing powder. When I started to color, then basically it disappeared. So the colors were stronger than the embossing powder itself. I said, no problem, I will not give up. So I will give another try. And what I have done is that now I'm trying to find the other sample, it's here, is that I prepared the bases, and then I took this knife and just put some of the embossing powder on the top. You can see it's there, and honestly, from here what I see, it's a bit shiny. It's like it would be a kind of acrylic paint. So in my view, it doesn't really make, I don't know, such a big difference. So I think if you don't have an embossing powder, forget about it and use just the black chalk. But one more thing I want to show before the next step, because as you can see, here are those different flowers, the little dots. How do I do that? For sure, some of you know, but those who don't know, I go back to my beautiful stamp. So it's really worth to buy at least one color. You can, of course, do with the other colors. It's no problem. Red, green, blue, whatever you want. And I will go to my mini cutters. And we will do like in childhood, you know, stamping. Pack, 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 pack. So basically you are just doing a stamping. And you will take these, again, I forgot how to call it in English. I knew it, but an English speaker will write me or tell me how you call these thing. I already see Judy's writing. So my English lesson will be completed. So basically what you do is you take it, dip it in the stamp, make sure that you have color there, and then you make a stamp. Oops, I said make it sure that you have enough color. So there you go. Then you go further, you can put here, let's see another one. Always make sure that right away after you use it, you clean your cutter so that you don't have a mess when you will work with the white clay. And I will check because I can see that you wrote to me, many of you. Beautiful, I love this yellow one. Me too, thank you. How did you draw the lines? Which lines? You are maybe asking right now, stylus. Yeah, thank you, Pavla. Bold stylus, dotting too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You mean the circles? Somebody was asking, how did you make the lines? Jane, you asked, just tell me which lines, if you mean these circles or something specific you saw. If this is what you ask, this was basically, it's a cutter. So I put the cutter and I put it here. But in theory, if you want to make lines, what you can do, you can take this knife and let me just, because I don't see now what I'm doing. So what you can do either with this one or with another knife, you basically, again, dip it in this one and then you could go and make the lines. But now it's not going to work so well. Maybe I have to do with this one. I don't have the proper knife for this one, but you could do with the knife and then when you go, then you make also lines there. And then what I did, I used a smaller cutter. I'm trying to find here a size smaller maybe. Again, put it in the stamp and put it there. And then of course you can play with it, go around as much as you wish. It's getting there, right? And then with the stylus, which now I know finally, you can make those little dots all over. And again, don't forget cleaning it. So this is what you can get out of it. Now, what I also said, you can leave it as it is now, that it's flat. But if you really want to give this, I don't know, this accent that it's actually, it's not, it's like a ceramic or it's like a kind of an enameling. What you can do is that this middle part, I'm trying to see if it's seen. You see that it's raised up. So basically I took from inside and I was raising up and I was pushing it to make it like a bit like irregular. Is it visible? Yes, you see it. Also, you see the edges that they are not straight because I was pinching them. So I was just going around and doing. And which I forgot to say, it's worth to invest in these, I call it glass for watches, these things. because in our courses, Pavla, Eva, and myself, all three of us, we are going to use this one for our technique. I'm going to send a link also to show where it is. So what you can do that you take this whole thing here and you put on it, and you will have not really a flat, but an irregular shape. And then you, as I said, you can pinch the sides, and then it's like a little bit wavy. You can go back with the stamp, dab on the side so that the white part disappears. But also what you can do, you bake it first because you don't want to mess it. Then you take the stamp. Again, you go on the side with the stamp, and you either with a heat gun or we put back for 5 minutes so that the stamp, it really gets dry there. You really need to either in the oven or with the heat gun. In the meantime, I see some more questions coming up. Use the back of the knife. Yes, 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 indeed. I know, Nurtje, thank you. How many glass things I have to have for January course? Well, Pavla and Eva, please, Eva, Pavla, how many do they need for the courses you are going to have? One. Pavla says one. In my case, I think we need to have 4. So I think if you have 5 pieces, then you are safe in case you drop and you break or something. So as I said, you pinch it, you put it into the oven. If you want, again, you go around and you put there, again, the ink. And now comes the magic. You know, this is like as if it went to the oven. So now it goes to the oven. And from the oven came out this one. You see, it's like very tricky. Every time, don't worry, it will not change the shape when you are going to bake it. But this is the way to go and show the next steps. So basically you leave that one there. And then what happens is you can decide what exactly you want to do with it. I always recommend to put something on the top. Otherwise, the danger is that as you are going, yeah, Pavla, thank you. Pavla says to have more. It's useful to have more at home, these glasses. What I recommend to do is really to make sure that you put some sealing on the top. You can decide that I prefer something transparent, something more matte. It's up to you. You can decide. I'm showing you what I did or what are the options, what I have tried. And of course, it's up to you to decide. And today, I think it was Chris already showing us, she tried with UV resin. And I personally like it because the end result is like this. It's like a glass. I really love it. And sometimes those people who don't do polymer clay, I have friends and they are saying that, oh my God, but this is breakable, right? Yeah, of course, no. It's not breakable, but the effect, the sensation, oh, dog. Oh, but I see a dog there. It's really, the effect is very beautiful. It's easy to make, but it's really up to you. Then what I like to use also, and I would say that this is most of the time I'm using, this is the Cotto Clay. I really like because the moment you color it, I will show you, when you color it, you see it's a matte. It's nothing, but the moment you will use the heat gun, I will show you in a minute, then it becomes beautiful and shiny. So it's really, you can use this Cotto Clay. And you say, okay, thank you, Annamaria. I don't have Cotto Clay. I don't have this UV. So what do you want me to use? Then just use Fimo. It's no problem. It's the liquid Fimo. It's perfect for this one. I have tried it the same way that I put a layer. Try to make a very thin layer, because if you put a lot, then it starts going around. It becomes messy. So really you take... this one, it's like for the nails they are using. Very nicely make a thin part, put it in the oven, bake it for 10-15 minutes. And then you take the heat gun, and with the heat gun also you get this lush, like a shiny effect. It's not as shiny as with the Cotto Clay, but liquid clay, but I think it's also wearable and it's nice. Or of course you can decide that you will use, and I didn't bring it in my studio, you can bring the matte, which basically it will not make shiny, but it's protecting the surface. And I think Svelagant has this liquid clay. Okay, so what do we do? I personally, because now I don't have here the lamp, I'm going to show for those who do not know the Cotto Clay, the liquid clay, and then I will show what happens as a magic when you do that. Because sometimes people, when they see it, they say, oh my God, but look at it, it's white. Yes, it is. And there is the secret. In the meantime, I'm looking at the messages. That's why I'm stopping. Have you tried PIM2? No, I haven't tried. I don't have using. What oven do you have? For the UV oven, for the resin, I'm using basically the lamp for the manicurist, a UV lamp. My daughter has it, I don't have it, so it's her who is doing. Film or Cotto Clay clear can be dented with a fingernail. UV resin is hard like glass and scratch proof with a liquid clay. It's true. And what is more, I have to tell you that because today somebody asked me, I like this one to use, this brand. The reason is because it's nothing against the Pavla, what's her name? Liza Pavelka. I have nothing against her, but when I'm using that one, I keep having a lot of bubbles in it. So I have to put a lighter to get out the bubbles. By the time I get rid of them, then everything goes in the middle. I have to go back 2-3 times, while with this one, I really just put a layer, I put in the UV lamp, and in 3 minutes I'm done. And it's beautiful, and you can see also the sides. This was one layer, I didn't do anything. It was really, really nice. So back to my Cotto. Basically, I'm saying always, just in order to avoid later on problems, what it's better to do that you have a little bowl and in that one you pour. But since this one is already, it's baked, and you can see that if you really take constantly the paper and you are really pushing the colors in it, I will try to show you that the colors are staying, nothing is coming off. It really stays there. Yes, the resin is called Isabaro. Isabaro, I will write it there. Here it is. I'm going to write to you. That's something to write. Isabaro. Okay, this is the brand I'm using. So as you see, in theory, you could leave it like this, but I don't recommend to leave it like this. So that's why I dare to put and color like this, because I'm not nervous that I will mess up the clay. So basically, now I removed it. Normally when you remove from the oven, it still sticks to the glass, the piece, but since I removed it, now it's not sticked. And I even suggest that the moment you take it out from the oven, then don't remove it from the glass, leave it there, because then you can manipulate and you can work with it very easily. So as you can see with the Cotto Clay, you will have you will say, okay, what is this milk on it or this something? But you can give quite a generous amount of this one. And at the end, make sure that you really go to the edges all the time, because it tends, like any other clay, liquid clay, it tends to go into the middle, but you can do it back. Can you put UV resin on curved surface or only flat? Also curved. This one perfectly. On the curved one, no problem. This is one which is a curved one. You see? It's no problem. You can. With the other one, you cannot, because it goes left and right all over. It's wherever you don't want to have, you will have it. So basically, when you feel that you have filled up the space, then you go back to the edges and you make sure that you go to the edges. And you don't have to be afraid, because this nicely starts to even it. So it will stay there and nicely starts to settle and finds the little holes or the little differences. And then you put in the oven. Once you put it in the oven, you leave it there for about 15 minutes, or it depends. If it's possible to become transparent, but if it doesn't become transparent, no problem. I buy any hard resin. It comes in soft and hard from China. I buy on AliExpress. This one, honestly, I bought it here in Czech Republic. It's one of the shops. I just Googled it, and one of the shops had this one as a stock. But I saw the same, exactly the same one I saw on AliExpress as well. So, but in this cold weather, I'm not sure that it's a good idea to order anything online because it can get frozen, or if it's not protected, can have a problem. So at this moment is the time when you put it in the oven and you leave it there. So we turn the page. This goes in the oven, so cold. And then from the oven, I take out something else, becomes this one. And as you can see, it's like kind of matte. It's still not glossy effect as I would expect. So in this case, what is good to have and to buy, I have to go down all over, is to have a heat gun. And I think many of you have it because you use for different technique. And this is the heat gun that will help you to make this whole surface transparent. So I don't know if it's visible, that it's fine, it's shiny, but it's not really, because you don't see what is there. La arcilla se pone sobre la arcilla cocida. See, bake before you put on the poly. Yeah, so what you do is that you baked, indeed, necesitas hornear, y después de aquí tenemos esto, terminamos con hornear, y después vamos a usar esto líquido, ¿sí? Antes tienes que hornear y después continuar con esto. So first you bake it, put it in the oven, you take it out, then you put the clay, then you put it back in the oven. And when it comes out, this is the matte color. Now I will switch off the microphone because this will be noisy, because I want to show you how it will change and how the colors, this orange color, you don't see the orange, but there should come out, orange and blue should come out. And you don't see it because it's matte. So I switch off the microphone so that it's not bothering the noise. Stop here for a while, because just to see that already you can start seeing the colors. They are coming up slowly and it starts to become shinier. This morning I also explained, and you can see already it's completely different. You already start to see whatever was hidden there. I said also in the morning that sometimes, of course, it can take longer because this heat gun was laying on the floor so far. I'm not using it. And of course, it needs time until it gets the temperature. And of course, now if I would continue for 2-3 more minutes, then already I could take the other pieces and very fastly would be done. But the first one, since it's called the whole instrument, it takes some time. But what I wanted to show you, that it's really at certain point you will see the colors. And here is one which is already done. I have to put somewhere my gun, heat gun, that you see the details are already there. You can see the powders, you can see a bit of the acrylic color. Here you can see the stamp. So everything really cleans up and it comes. And I got the question about hairdryer. No, I don't think that hairdryer would work. You really need to have, because this is a huge temperature, and this one don't use as a hairdryer. That's another thing, because you burn it off. And what is important, that you make sure that when you work with the heat gun, you really have something thick, because you can burn the surface. So you don't do it on a wood, but to have a strong ceramic or a strong glass. And this one you can see also it's a very thick glass. Basically, this could be in 1000 something watt being baked and nothing happens. So really no hair dryer, and this one is the best. Now I'm looking because I have a lot of other comments. Yes, that one I answered. No, hairdryer is not enough. Is this embossing gun or a heat gun? I think I don't know if there is a difference, but I think this one you can use for embossing because that's what I did today. I had this one, and with this one I was going over it on the embossing powder. So I think it's just tomato, or potato. So I think there is not really big difference. Then you have, I use real heat gun. Okay, yes. Some heat guns, indeed, they have functions. I have only one, on and off. It's very basic, I think made in China. So it's nothing luxury. It's the simple version. And you don't have more. Ladies and gentlemen, I think for me, this is it, but still just to show some things. As I said, if you have those little things, which we cut out from the circles, simply the same method. You just you put the powder, you pinch the edges, you color the edges. And then if you have a big stylus, now I don't have it here with me, then basically you want to make it round so that it's really gets a different shape. And then you make a little ball of a different color, or you take a white color and you color that one. And then simply, when it's raw, before going to the oven, then you would stick it there. And because two raw clays are getting stuck together. But if at the very end, when it's baked, you say, oh, I want it to put, no problem. You take a little bit of liquid clay, and you just stick it there and it will work perfectly.